All right, let's edit that part out.
Yeah, we'll do. Step 1, edit it out.
500 Cats, episode 17.
Oh, it's so close. 18.
18.
Same.
And just to be clear, it's confusing more than ever because we're right like neck and neck with the Iron Man Insider,
Yeah,
which is what we consider our only competitor in this space.
agreed. It is our only competitor.
So 500 Cats is back. It's episode 2 of 2025 though, right?
That is correct. Yes.
Season 2, episode 2.
Season 2, episode 2.
And we're off to a good start. Ryan Kelly's going to take over here and talk maybe that he went to Rock and Roll, Arizona last weekend, which is a big running race. Now, it's been a few years since I've been there. It's a 5K. Does it still have a 10K?
Yeah. So 5K on Saturday,
Yep.
early morning, and then 10K and half marathon both start at the same time on Sunday.
Is there still an Iron Kids?
There was not a Iron Kids. You got me caught up there.
Kids Rock.
Kids Rock. That's
Jeez
it.
Louise. There was not. That was typically after the 5K in years past, but they got rid of it this year, and it was a great event. Me, John Michelle, Ryan High, and Julian Higuerita went down there and put on a good show. We had some interesting times setting up merchandise. As you know, we were putting new card readers into use, and that just got a little held up. But that was only the only hurdle we had to overcome, which we did, and opened Expo on time and put on a good race.
It's a well-organized event. I mean, I don't
It
go to a
is.
lot of rock and rolls, and
Mhm.
I've been to that one 4 or 5 times.
It's a great event, and everything's right there. Like, it's either on Rio Salado or on Mill Avenue or the Mill Avenue Bridge. Everything's within 3 blocks of each other outside of the expo, which is downtown Phoenix. But there's
So nothing's nearby.
no, everything, the whole venue is together. You just have to, the expo's always in the convention
40
center.
minutes away.
No, it's like 10 minutes away.
I love
Oh.
the idea they moved the start line to Mill.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
is
that's
nice.
huge.
It's amazing.
Does it have the same, like, I don't know, it was kind of cool to be under the ASU bridge. Does it have that same, like, feel? 'Cause I'm sure it's different, right? But
A little bit, but I think Mill is cooler. Like,
Yeah,
it's
I bet.
it's the main strip of downtown. You have all the shops, the bars, the restaurants. It's old.
So it's not
Yeah.
on University anymore.
No, it's on 3rd and Mill, right by Local Patron.
I liked it when it
That's
was on
awesome.
University. Do you guys remember that year that
Yes.
somebody went around and spray painted stuff all over the country, but the P word and
Man.
what?
P-Man.
P-Man.
P-Man. And then somebody had to go up there and like hold a piece of Coro over it.
I have
for
a
the
great
store
video
photos and
of
stuff.
Mike Sutton cutting that piece of Coro down and revealing
Okay.
the man.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. It was national news. Like this, whoever this kid or guy was went around not only Arizona, but other cities tagging
And it wasn't
very poorly, like in Sharpie, man, everywhere. And this was on the ASU bridge, and they had to cover it up because it was going to be in the photos.
Yeah,
That's
and it
so
wasn't
funny.
like a statement or an attack on the event at all. It was just there.
It was everywhere.
and
It
then
was,
it was when we set up race morning, everyone realized
it's going to be in the photos.
it's going to be in the photos.
Anyway, keep going back to the 2025. It's
Yeah.
no longer on University.
Which
You're
was
right.
which was cool because you had like the palm tree alley and stuff down there on campus. But I like it being back on Mill. It makes life much easier. They moved the op slot this year, which was way nicer. It's right there on the corner of Rio Salado and the other road, not Priest.
The other way.
Yeah, on the corner of Tempe Beach Park where that building used to be that they knocked down.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, super
Cool.
convenient.
Yeah, that's great.
And then, yeah, set it up, broke it down. Pretty straightforward. What's cool about the convention center, though, is you can take the train from Local Patron straight down there. That takes 40 minutes, but the drive's only like 15.
That's a wild ride, the train.
It's fun.
Because
The kids didn't want to take it.
there's some people that are just riding the train to
Get to work.
to be
go to school.
to be like out of the elements.
Oh, I see.
And
Yeah.
so I rode the train like several times one year, like back and forth every
Mhm.
day. And it was interesting. It was fun. But it was more like a subway,
Yeah.
even though it goes above the ground.
And it's
everything.
interesting because you go through like every different part of town.
Oh,
you
yeah.
you go through like
It's a well-designed rail.
It is, but when I just looking out the window, you're like, oh wow, that's a really nice old house. Oh, that's where the strip club is. Oh, That's where the baseball stadium is. Like you go through like all
Yeah.
these different parts of town. Yeah, it takes about 45 minutes, but we were able to rearrange some rides on 5K morning, so John Michelle didn't have to take the train. Who knows where he would have ended up?
It's like 5th grade math to ride the train because there's a map. And
You get on, and then
if
you
you
get
haven't
off.
been there, it's like an out and back, a never ending out and back.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And Tempe's like in the middle. So you
Mhm.
could get on the train going the wrong way and
End up in Scottsdale.
Yeah, and even further like Mesa and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
And then it comes back, so you'd be all right. You
Yeah.
like and
It would just take a long time.
it's super convenient.
I know I'm jealous of it. Like I wish we had something like that in Denver because
Yeah.
Phoenix area is as big. It's like basically the same size as Denver, but the rail goes like in the middle of it. So it's like no matter where you are in the metro area, you're like 20 minutes from a park and ride and you can just take the rail anywhere.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Dylan,
Yeah.
our podcast for complaining about Denver metro infrastructure is how to ski it.
Yeah, let's not. I could get off on that subject. Just because as voters, we voted for light rail to come to Boulder.
You get a bus. It's about as good as we can get.
So back to really well organized event. Who's
Yep.
the race director? Adam?
Adam Zox is the
Yeah,
race
he does a
director
good
now.
job.
Yep.
He keeps things organized.
And he's one of those race directors that makes sure ahead of time that we have what we need, and then if there's a problem, we would approach him. We don't ever get like babysat by him as a race director. He knows we're there to do a job. He trusts us to do the job, and that's kind of we say hi to each other, but we're never truly interacting. You good? You good? Yeah, we're good. We're good on both ends, and that's really nice for someone to come in and trust us to do our job. They don't have to micromanage or double check that we're going to be on time or whatever the case is. He just knows we're going to do our job. And he does a really good job organizing the event.
And then I think the best thing about events like that is that rock and roll brings the equipment, the trailers, the equipment. And there's pluses and minuses to having that happen, but you can catch a flight with a suitcase to go to an event is awesome.
A carry-on if you
Yeah.
don't want to bring
Yeah.
your Leatherman.
And the more we do video and the more we do events in Colorado, equipment's such a big part of it. But in this case, it's however we left it in San Antonio
And
5 weeks earlier,
and
4 weeks.
Rock and Roll Arizona is a great way to start the year because it's simple. Like there's not a lot of extra add-ons. We did audio and expo, which is kind of a one-off, but these days seems to be more common. But other than that, it was Friday morning. Expo opened at noon, and we were done loading our box truck with the start and finish line gear by 9:30, and we started at 8. So it was just go load the box truck, and then let's go get Expo open. And then the rest of the day was kind of what did we forget, which wasn't anything. So it was nice to start the year with a less stressful event than St. George or an Oceanside, or like you get the juices flowing again.
Yeah, because we have started the year with Vegas before, which is a lot.
Which is hard.
Who won the race?
First place male, first place female in the 10K, and then it was same thing at the half.
Nice.
And it is funny.
I actually didn't see the finish line.
Well, and even just what we do, which is we call ops because we don't really do ops, but we call it auxiliary ops. So ops, and when you just go do ops, you don't know who won the race, even if it's Kona.
Yeah.
Like you are not involved in.
Which was great going in usually as a lead. It was nice to just say, who wants to do the finish line? Ryan High raised his hand and said, all right, this is your baby. And at whatever race start, he's like, peace, I'm out. I got 30 minutes to get the finish line rolling. And John Michelle and I did the string. Julian ran front of house. And by the time Julian was done breaking down front of house, we were done breaking down the string and went and unloaded, hung out for like an hour, got some quick breakfast, and then it was time to break down the finish. And so I didn't even see the finish line.
Those are good events.
Yeah.
I would like to travel to events more if I went to those kind of events.
Especially when you have a team like we had. It was everyone knew what they were doing. Anyone could have done anything, which was nice.
Yeah.
And I really felt that, John Michelle monitored Expo for 2 days. Didn't have to worry about it. Call me if there's a problem, but he didn't, because if there was, he was gonna fix it. So
Cool.
yeah, good event.
Nice.
Through and through.
Good.
Love that event. I love Tempe.
And we fly United, and the flights went well, which I was surprised you guys got home because we had that cold snap. And I don't know how that affects airplanes, but on the news, there were like 500 canceled flights a day. So I was
Yeah.
like, they're not making it home.
It definitely affects places that aren't prepared. Like I don't imagine it would affect Denver too much, but man, like Florida got snow and stuff. I bet they got grounded a
Louisiana.
lot. Louisiana got pounded.
Yeah, but we were just cold at that
Right.
time.
Yeah.
And so why?
It was great. We actually got to fly out the same night after the race. So we got done loading the trailer about 1:32 and then got to the airport around 3. Our flight was at 5. So
Nice.
hung out, watched the football game in the club, the club, and then got on a plane and flew home. It was nice. Yeah. Long day, but
I'm going to
gets
give
you home.
Ryan and our whole team a little bit of a hard time here that for years, like Arizona was such a big lift that we probably should come home Monday. And this year,
it used to be a full.
This year when the Eagles played at 1:00,
No problem.
we were done at 12:45.
Well, there was priorities that needed to be met. I only had to watch the first quarter in the car. The rest of the game I got to see on TV.
So anyway, good event. Not our only event, but by far the biggest. How many athletes did they have? I know it's gigantic.
Yeah, I think the half marathon had like 10,000.
Yeah, that's a lot of people.
And then the 10K had another probably 5, and the 5K on Saturday, I'm guessing 2,500. So there's still a good 15,000 people throughout the weekend, I guess.
Dylan, are you getting us some numbers?
Yeah, because I think I saw it come through, so I am looking because I'm interested because it has always been one of the more successful rock and roll races in their circuit. So
It has. And it almost went away. Last year was supposed to be the last year. Kudos to Adams Ox coming in and kind of changing that around, selling out the 5K last year and getting it back for another year, for another couple years. So it was nice to be able to go back. It wasn't supposed to happen again this year.
yeah, here we go. The number of, so this isn't starters. There's always what we call attrition sometimes of some people are registered and pick up, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they race. But the people that picked up the packages from Expo was 5,800 in the half marathon and 1,570 for the 10K for a grand total of 7,370.
So you were off by like 50%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just numbers I heard throughout the
It
weekend.
was
I
a
never
good
looked it up.
guess.
It was close.
10,000 total throughout the
So
weekend.
close.
Yeah, we'll go back to. Can you
Cool.
edit
That's a
that
good
out?
event. If you're looking for a good event, a running event, it's
Yeah,
got
the
a good
weather is
vibe.
perfect for running. It's
Ugh.
I think it's a cool course that you go through that, like, what is it, the Papagayo?
Papago Park. You go through the zoo.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
nice.
cool.
Yeah, you go through Phoenix, Tempe, and whatever the next town over is.
It was 60 degrees warmer there than it was here.
It was.
Yeah.
So
Man.
It was like 45 race morning. It was great.
Nice.
It was great. And then 70 when we
Yeah,
left.
what a runner's dream.
So we had one other event, speaking of running, that was here in Boulder. And I didn't have high hopes for that event.
Yeah.
So it's the Boulder Running Clinic.
I didn't know what to expect, I think. is how
Yeah,
I
and
would
therefore
say
I
it.
didn't have high hopes.
Yeah.
But it turned out great.
It was awesome.
210 attendees. And I mean, I knew what it was before I went. So the Boulder
Right.
Running Clinic, I don't think is a great description. It sounds exciting.
Yeah.
But what it is even better than that, is it's a whole bunch, 210 cross-country coaches from around the United States that came to a get-together seminar kind of thing. I don't know what you call it, corporate event,
Yeah.
where other coaches and leaders in the industry gave talks and keynotes, and they had breakout rooms. So very much what we did was corporate video. We didn't do the AV.
Right. Just the video recordings.
We did the video
Yeah.
side because then they turned this into videos, and then the people that couldn't make it, which I would have thought would be a lot of people. I didn't know high school cross country was that big of a deal.
Yeah. I think it's gotten bigger
Than when I
the
did
more
it.
recent years. Yeah. Well, definitely since you did it. You were just telling us at that clinic about how y'all's prerogative was go out and run,
Yeah.
run the hills. And they had like full on science and some of the coaches were so in depth in their instructions, and they kind of shared that from the stage about what they go into for their runners, which was really cool.
Yeah. And I think the thing, and I don't have anything to do, I did cross country in high school. I don't have anything to do with cross country anymore at all. And I was inspired. Like, I was like, man, if I was a coach, this is pure gold.
Yeah.
And the thing that inspired me the most was multiple speakers talked about how they weren't trying to build champions or championship teams. They were trying to make runners and make people have fun and make it. And the one that really took me away was the public school in Portland, competing with all these private schools, but their team is more fun, so they get all the best runners.
Yeah.
And they talked about how to do social media, and it wasn't just post about your winner, it was post about your team dinner and post about fun things. And I mean, I feel like I could coach cross country tomorrow after just being at that and not knowing all the details, but having a vision.
Yeah.
They just put a vision, and it was inspiring because the speakers conveyed to the audience how important what you do is.
Yeah, I really also loved that everyone who spoke was had been for a long time or was a very successful member of the group. There was no like outside, this is a running author that's coming to talk to you about running but has never coached high school cross country. It was all people who actively coach. I think everyone that spoke was still an active coach, right?
At some level.
At some level, yes.
Because the one guy who blew me away the most, his name was Jeff Messer. And I don't think he coaches a team anymore.
Yeah, he had like 2 athletes specifically. Well, more than 2.
But the specific athletes he talked about were national champions or on the verge of, and he was like, that's not my goal.
Yeah.
My goal is to make, and then he had said people had not accused him, but has said, you could have made her better. And he's like, why in high school? Like, I want her to peak in college or as a pro.
Yeah.
So that's how he coaches his people. So anyway, that's talking about the event, but what a cool event. And then we produced it like it was live. They wanted us to come in and set up cameras around the room and edit it all together. And then we didn't really tell them, but we just showed up and did it like it was live. We could have live streamed it.
Yeah.
And the advantage of that was more work up front, more equipment up front, more people up front, but then there wasn't really any editing on the back end because it was all like it went from this person to this person and this slide went up on the screen in real time like it happened in the room.
Yeah. And we had exceptional camera people that were able to follow all week. You know, it was good.
I heard that was exciting. It was the hardest camera work
It was
the camera guys ever had, is what I was told.
It was the hardest camera work I've ever done because I don't know why, and I'm going to take a dig at cross country running coaches. Not only do they not stand still on the stage, there's a podium up there, but
no one ever stands at the podium.
One of them, like just shy of running around the stage the whole time. And then we built a layout for what the final product was going to look like. And we built the camera portion was a vertical shot. So just big enough for the podium and a person. So keeping them in that vertical shot when they're running and doing, no exaggeration, the guy did these head fakes to emphasize when he was going to change the direction of a coaching seminar. He's like, I'm going this way. And then he would jump the other way as part of his vernacular was like a body head fake. It was the hardest camera work.
It was literally like people were trying to mess with Dave. And the funniest thing is Dave did all of the video and everyone walks around and he's got it dialed in and we kind of we develop a communication while I'm switching. And then one of the speakers gets back up and I was like, hey, I'll tell you what, why don't I take this one? You sit and you do the switching. And he was like, good luck, man. They move around a lot. Good luck. And I got up there and they didn't move at all. It was awesome.
It was like a static shot almost.
It was.
I was miffed. I was grateful to be sitting down because the focus to keep up with somebody running the whole time. A kid's soccer is easier than what I had to do.
Yes.
How long was each presentation?
50 minutes.
It's a lot of time on your feet.
Yeah.
Especially actively shooting.
And I was running 2 cameras. One of them was static, but nevertheless, you still have to keep an eye on it. Yeah, my back hurt from just being so tensed up and stuff. I do want to point out we bought these cheap
Small rig.
Yeah.
small rig tripods that are amazing.
Amazing.
Better than their $300 tripods, which in the tripod industry is cheap. And they perform like a $1,500 tripod.
Absolutely.
And I think that saved the day for me because it was very smooth and fluid and consistent. And just a camera tip to anybody. We see this happen all the time. We hire camera people and they're just like, I got it. And the show starts and they realize they don't got it because they don't know exactly how the tripod works.
Yeah.
And it took me a minute on these. I'm like, why? I'm turning the screw and it's not loosening. And one of the weird things about the tripod, the small rig, is you have to turn the tension screw 400 turns
Yeah.
to make any difference.
It like really wants you to be able to dial it in. Whereas some, it's like on or off. That one's like, do you want it at 0.1 or do you want it at 0.15?
Yeah,
Like-
0.1. So that was a cool event, and the customer was super happy.
I think it's just a good example of like we were. It's like it was a good project for us because it was what we do well, and the customer didn't really realize it because we were we produced it as like a live stream broadcast to be able to do it in real time, which is like he didn't when we told him we were going to do that, getting ready for it, he didn't really get it, and we're like we got you.
He
But-
didn't
Yeah.
get it.
He didn't get it, and then yeah, like you said, it like cut. I mean, like between downloading and managing and trimming and uploading 600 gigs of footage of 2 days of conference, it was like 8 hours of work, which is nothing.
Yeah, and it could have been like another 20 hours of work.
Yeah, if you imagine like someone that wasn't there to have to listen to every slide and be like, I'm going to put the slide up now, and yeah, that would take forever.
Yeah.
Well, and it
Jay-
was awesome because, sorry, you might be about to say what
I was going
gonna
to say his name's Jay Johnson is the customer because I wanted to shout out
Yeah.
what an awesome dude. And I assume he's making money, but I don't think he's getting rich by coaching cross country coaches.
Yeah.
And what an awesome dude. Really smart. Like he sends us these videos that he goes,
Yeah.
here's what it's him talking. Here's what I want. And then it shows us an example and he basically sends you a presentation. And for me,
It's awesome.
that works
Yeah.
really well.
Yeah.
Man, I wish more people would do that. It's like, this is an example of what I want and why, rather than being like, I just make something. It's probably fine.
So I would assume we'll be back to that event next year.
Yeah.
And I know we've talked about doing some coaching seminars with him this summer, but great event. Just the other side, like that's not, we don't do a lot of corporate events, but to do one about cross country and running was super cool.
Yeah. Agreed.
And what a bright future cross country and running has with the Nike cross country nationals and the Nike cross country regionals
Yeah.
and all these things that, I mean, how many times did you hear the acronym NXN and be like, I wonder what that
It
is?
took
It
me a
just
while.
dawned on me when you just said that. I was like,
I,
Yeah.
I kind of knew it meant the big show.
Right.
But I didn't know what NXN and
Same.
that's the Nike Cross Country Nationals.
Yeah. And then they get into it and you're just like, it's cool that like Nike, which it would make sense. Nike, a huge running company, that they would sponsor something like that.
And my understanding was 40 people from Colorado and the rest were from out of state. And I don't know if anybody was from here, but where we live, Niwot High School has one of the best cross country teams in the country. I know that they had some national accolades and stuff like that. I don't know how that fit into NXN and stuff like that, but I believe
Yeah.
second place in nationals was a young girl out of Niwot High School. It's too bad we don't follow the sport as well as we should.
Yeah.
Sick.
So, all
Maybe
right,
we need
well,
to get into it.
good times at the Boulder Running Clinic and Rock and Roll Arizona. 2025 is off to a frenetic start,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
just crazy busy and stuff like that. And we're like a month away from Rock and Roll Las Vegas, and that
Yeah.
means it's a part-time job right now,
Yeah.
which is weird. Like I'm already going through pack lists in my head. So that one's a little different. They bring equipment and we bring equipment
Mhm.
because it's so gigantic and there's live production involved and stuff like that. And then one of the other things we're working on is waterproofing electronics. That we have a project that involves mobile GPS devices, and Dylan, what are they rated? Because they're rated like waterproof.
I think they're
weather.
IP68, right?
I was going to say 67.
Okay, that would make more sense.
Now, and so that's basically like, if you don't know IP ratings, it's like one digit is like how well it's resistant to dust, and then the other digit is against water. And so I believe it's 6 is the dust and 7 is the water. And basically it means it's like dust proof and it's submersible up to a meter for 30 minutes is what they're rated by the manufacturer.
Yeah, I don't buy it.
I don't buy it.
I don't
either.
If that was how it was really truly rated, we wouldn't be trying to waterproof it.
No.
Yep.
And it was so then that's why like at the beginning of this project it was like I personally misled myself because it's like, yeah, these are great and they're like mostly waterproof, so we just got to waterproof them, easy, no problem, move on. And we're realizing that's is anything but easy.
Anything but easy. And so,
We're 40 hours in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
which isn't a lot,
No, but
but
for waterproofing a waterproof device is a lot.
Yeah.
and to think where we ended up. So one of the things I've been a big, like, let's get something made out of silicone.
Mhm.
And maybe, God, if you're listening and you know something we don't know, let us know. But we couldn't really find a silicone manufacturer. We found
Yeah.
some really expensive.
Yeah.
And we're like, we're hoping to pay like $1 a piece here. Like, we just want a little balloon.
Yeah.
And so then we were like, well, let's figure out if silicone is going to work. So we made our own silicone mold and we went and bought a silicone. It's a mixture of two chemicals. You put them together and they activate and turn into silicone. And for the most part, it worked, but we couldn't ever envision mass production of it.
Yeah.
So then we're back to looking for a silicone manufacturer. And then they would have probably taken our mold and been like, yeah, we'll just start from scratch.
Yeah. True.
100%.
But we ended up, I was like embarrassed to say this, that with a piece of electrical tape did it.
That was my first idea. I'm going to keep saying that.
I know somebody said it in the beginning, but I don't remember shooting it down. I remember whoever shot it down, I thought it was you, Dylan, was worried about residue.
No, because I that's what electrical tape's for. Is it's like AF tape. There's no residue. I shot down. I think when I said electrical tape, and someone else said, "Well, don't do electrical tape. Do Gorilla Tape or duct tape." And I was like,
Yeah.
definitely not.
So we do, believe it or not, we're not just making it up as we go, somewhat, but we do have a testing path, and it's first, can it just survive being submerged? And then can it go through the washing machine?
In something.
Right. Yeah. Like put it in the pocket of some jeans or
Yeah.
something and then run it through the wash.
I do think there's some backstory that we could probably talk to answer any questions as you're listening to this, because yes, we tried Ziploc bags.
Yeah.
Yes, we tried
Shrink wrap.
and like heat
shrink. Yeah.
bags, like food saver. I mean, yeah, like when you're like, yeah, we need this little hockey puck to be waterproof. Of course, we tried a Ziploc bag first, and didn't work. We've broken devices. So I mean, we've also tested what if the device is just rated the way it is, and nope, we had some
It is
break.
not.
We had some ones go through, food saver bags break, and plus like that takes a skill if you need to do it 200 times.
125. So, and just maybe we should just go back a step. The plan this year is to put GPS on the athletes at the events that we're doing live production at.
Yep.
And then that way we'll get better graphics. This is exactly how fast this person is going. And we'll get better just finding them.
Yeah,
I know
Yeah.
exactly where this person is because I can look at this map and see. So we're jumping in from last year. I think the most we did at an event was 5. And now we're jumping up to 125 of an event because it was successful with 5. Not that we're just going to
Right.
try to do it bigger, but it got expensive when we were doing tests of 5 and 2 of them were coming back broken. That would be
40% that's not good.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that would be like 50 devices
Yeah.
and we can't have that.
Yeah.
So
it's a hard
that's-
problem. It's something that's got to be reliable, repeatable, fast to make waterproof, and then make not waterproof, right? Because the thing that's not waterproof is the charging port. So it's not like we can just
It's got to be portable.
it's got to be, yeah. I mean, you got to be able to take the thing off and plug it in to charge it, and then like within seconds be able to make it ready for the field. Which the idea of it is to put them on the athletes so that they don't have to think about them throughout their entire triathlon journey through the swim, which we may or may not get data from. Sometimes we kind of do, surprisingly, but then give us data reliably after swimming in oceans and lakes and rivers on the bike and in the run. So
Yeah, and work for 10 hours.
work for 10
Yeah.
hours.
This will be way easier in cycling this year than it will be.
Way
Yeah.
easier. Because I would say they're reliably water resistant to like sweat and rain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No worries.
And I think the initial design is if you're going to magnetize this underneath your fleet of vehicles and it gets splashed by snow and water,
It's
fine.
fine.
And
Yeah.
I totally agree that in that case, it's waterproof or weatherproof. But when you're submerging it in the Pacific Ocean,
In a wetsuit that's like designed to hold water against the
yeah,
body. Yeah.
it's a little different. Plus, the motion is a little different. Like there's
Yeah.
outside forces that aren't just speed bumps. They're swimming, they're
Yeah.
biking, they're running, and I think that's why we kept failing with the plastic bags.
Yeah.
It's just because we weren't taking into account how much movement goes into the back
Yeah.
of their kit, unfortunately.
So, and this will be easily one of the biggest projects we do this year,
Yeah.
if not the biggest. But we also have a couple other big new projects that we're hoping to finalize and then be able to make announcements. It definitely will be a public announcement because it's a high profile. We're super excited about that. So we're going to be busy this year, to say the least.
Oh, yeah. But a lot of very exciting things.
Yeah, and we'll try to get into those when it's more appropriate.
We're not going to be bored.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting.
And then one of the other things that I did last weekend, which I just was kind of, I wouldn't say it's something I'm proud of, but I'm glad I figured out, is we want to start using FPV drones for broadcast. And if you know anything about drones, they already do that, but they send telemetry in the imagery. So how fast it's going, how high it is, what kind of radio frequency connection does it have to the controller? And we don't want any of that.
Yeah. You want it to
And-
be clean for a broadcast.
And it's a harder thing than you would think, that you kind of have to build your own FPV drone and build your own. There's open source OSD software, which is on-screen display for drones. So you can buy it and configure your own display, and you can configure it to not show anything, which makes flying the drone a little more complicated.
Yeah.
Because so ideally, what you want is your controller to show you how fast, how high, how
Where.
good your connection is, and then have your output not show any of that. And you can actually do it with prosumer DJI drones, but it's a super complicated process where the goggles of the FPV drone have to be USB'd to the controller of a broadcast drone. And then
Yeah.
the broadcast drone controller doesn't do anything except strip the on-screen display off it and send it out via HDMI. There's no one video on the internet to explain that,
Yeah. We need to make
I
that
was gonna
video.
say, we need to make that video.
because there's how to do it on different versions, and how to get rid of the on-screen display, and how to use the broadcast controller for X. And you basically have to put all those things together. But to break it down to models, we'll be using the Aveda 2, which is very much a prosumer FPV drone for broadcasting this year. And one of the things that allows us to do is fly in really tight proximity to humans because it's got prop guards.
Yeah.
And physically, if you ran into somebody at full speed, you could probably, it'd be like getting hit with a baseball. So pretty serious.
Yeah.
But you're not going to poke an eye out or anything like that with the propellers, because it's all this self-contained propellers and everything. So I think it's going to be a good choice. And now we'll have to purchase a few more of those, which sounds fun, but expensive.
Yeah.
I think there's a
It'll
few
also
things
be
I've been
very-
learning, which is in the last year or two, is using drones in live broadcast is kind of new and slightly uncharted. Like drones are popular. Everyone loves drones. They do a lot of videography, but doing it live is kind of new, and not a lot of people do it.
Without a doubt.
And that's why I think it's hard. Like there's not a lot of off the shelf products that just do it, because not a lot of people are doing it.
Yeah.
So I think it's exciting that we're figuring it out.
The ones I have seen, in particular, an example was the NBA had an FPV drone flying around the stadium at halftime, and they were broadcasting it on TV and on the jumbo.
Mm.
But then when you look at the drone he was flying, it was 100% custom built. And a lot of those FPV drones are custom built.
USFL also had an FPV drone. They didn't have like a
Sick.
wire cam. They would follow the kickoff with a FPV drone,
It was
which
so
was pretty
cool.
sweet.
So
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
I saw that, and that was probably the most creative use of a drone. But Ryan, you brought up a good point. They're mostly custom. And in fact, and we're going to nerd out a little bit here, if you're a DJI fan, they just released this thing called, I think it's the O2. And all that is a transmitter and receiver and a camera. So it's a little miniature camera and a wire that goes to a transmitter and receiver. And then you build the rest of the drone.
You buy the motors, the propellers.
Propellers, batteries, everything like that. And it's only $180.
The O4 air unit? Is that
O4
right?
air unit.
Yeah. It is only $109.
That's the cheap one. There's a pro version.
Oh, there's a pro version. Got it.
But anyway, so very much so. Not only are you right that they're custom jobbies, the main drone manufacturer in the world is selling parts to make your own custom jobbie.
Yeah.
Here's the other interesting thing that we've learned, which I'm excited about, the Aveda is when we're talking about cycling on gravel, let's talk about gravel first, is, man, pros are going 25, 30 miles an hour average.
On gravel.
On gravel.
It's crazy.
And, there's a lot of details that make a drone broadcast ready and as a good tool. And one of the ones that we found has like almost perfect is the Mini 4.
3.
Yeah, because the 4 doesn't have broadcast capability yet.
3. The battery life is crazy. It's excellent quality camera. You can use it with the broadcast controller and get the clean feed, and it's awesome. But what we learned is it goes 20 miles an hour. And so it's really cool as long as you can like time things out right and keep up. But the Aveda doesn't have that problem.
Yeah.
No, and the Mini 4 doesn't have that problem. So I took the drones home to figure all this stuff out, and I was just flying the Mini 4, and it was going 35 miles an hour. And I was like, I don't understand what cyclist Dylan can't keep up with at 35 miles an hour. And that's when I started thinking, like, he's got to know what smart sport mode is.
Yeah.
And Dylan's a pretty smart guy. So that's when I was like, wait, this isn't the 3, is it? So, and they've been progressing, so that'll come along nicely. But to go back to what you said, it's kind of in its infancy, broadcasting from drones. Man, there's no better example of that we showed up with these mini drones to do broadcasts, and people almost laughed us out of town and then asked questions afterward, like, so if I want to do this on our broadcasts.
Yeah.
And then some of our big competitors even reached out, and they failed to learn that you can't use the 4 yet.
Yep.
And so they just assumed we were using the 4, and they went and bought 4s, and they were like, how did you output from a Mini 4? And we're like, we didn't. We're using Mini 3s. And they were like, crap.
Yeah.
But it's so new that when we brought prosumer drones to the table, it blew people away. And let me tell you why we brought, you guys know, but for our listeners, is the 45-minute battery flight time. That is big in broadcasting because a lot of broadcast drones are like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's tight. That means you're going up, you're getting some shots, you're coming down. For example, at a half Ironman, we're up for the whole swim with one battery. And then, just from a safety perspective, it's a 249.9 gram drone. And I don't know, what is that in pounds? Like a couple pounds, a pound. I have no idea.
Dylan's converting it.
Well, and I think also
we only talk freedom units.
Half a pound, 0.55.
Half a pound. So that's my point, is that if that falls out of the sky, I'm truly sorry that it hit you, and I feel bad and stuff like that. But I know you're not seriously hurt.
Thankfully, we can have the discussion about how sorry I am that it hit you here, not at the hospital.
Trust me, Dylan's already been fired.
As opposed to a broadcast drone that you would never fly over people, period, because of the fear of that. And this, you will fly over people because it's a lot safer, but also it's legal to fly a drone like that over people, where you have to get a special exception from the FAA to fly a big broadcast drone over people, which most broadcasts do.
Yes.
They go and get that exception and prove that they have X amount of flight time and stuff like that. But I probably got 6 hours of flight time in last weekend.
Nice.
So I crashed twice. And just to be clear, I'm flying an FPV drone through the woods
Right.
and pushing it because I want to see, can we follow a mountain biker on a downhill?
Yeah.
And I think soon enough I will be able to.
I need to practice, but I'm excited. I think that it's something I can do as well.
If you like drones and you want a hobby, a fun FPV is so much more fun than flying any. It's just one of the funnest things you can do. It's like you're flying.
Yeah.
I'm sure short of flying, just getting a pilot's license and flying, but it's a lot of fun. And I can't emphasize enough how much fun flying an FPV drone is. But then to do that in the broadcast is going to be super cool.
Yeah.
Super cool. So big stuff. We kind of got off on a drone, but we said we were going to talk about equipment, and that was one of the.
That's one of the big things, especially because drones are new in broadcasting, but FPV drones are new. Like, we've been a part of one broadcast that's ever used an FPV drone, and they did it in one section, like one little
I can't
shot.
remember where that was.
Frankfurt, wasn't it? Or Hamburg.
Oh, it was Frankfurter.
Yeah.
And they did a great job.
It was awesome, yeah. But it was like that one little run section. And I don't blame them. I'm not saying they should have done more, but it's like, man, to really start incorporating that, it's going to be sick. Didn't Winter X last year have FPV as well?
Yeah, they definitely do.
Yeah.
Like the knuckle huck and stuff.
Yeah.
They usually use
'Cause
it,
that was
or
sick.
big air as well.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't remember if I saw it in slopestyle or not, but
Yeah.
I know the big air stuff because it's just one person, one run, one trick.
Yeah, because
They
we
would-
were back watching it and
Right.
seeing all the
Yeah,
stuff.
And not to brag, but I think I think I'm good enough. I could cover ski jumping,
Yeah.
knuckle huck, stuff like that. The thing that's hard is the trees.
I was going to say, because
Right.
your only restriction in knuckle huck
Is the athlete.
is the snow and the athlete. Like, you have infinite airspace in left and right.
Yeah.
But
And
in
it's
the
like straight
woods,
line, too.
left,
Yeah.
down, up, right, you're completely surrounded by canopy
And just like reception issues because you're
Oh,
always
yeah.
moving. You're not
Yeah.
just like
Yeah.
on one hill.
And fast.
fast.
And
yeah.
fast. So last thing on this year, we are like the countries that we're going to went up a little bit. So last
Yeah.
year, I know we went to France
Mhm.
and
New Zealand,
New Zealand.
Canada's
Canada.
always-
Canada.
And
Yep.
this
And
year we're
Hawaii.
going to be going to Australia,
Yeah.
South Africa, Italy, France, Germany, Austria, Wales, Spain,
You know,
Canada.
just a
Hawaii.
couple more.
Hawaii.
Yeah. So a much bigger year this year. So, and that was something we talked about in our meeting today, is this is the time of year to cut out and go skiing. We have a whole podcast about that, but cut out and go skiing and take care of yourself because it's going to be a beatdown.
Yeah.
Like, I was trying to talk Marcus into going to Monterey in a couple weeks. And then he was like, yeah, I suppose. And then I was like, what about South Africa?
how about Germany and South Africa? You go there?
So there's going to be a lot of travel and a lot of miles. And important to, well, one of the things we talk about is travel. I lost all my status on United.
You don't have silver?
I didn't even make silver.
That's
I went
nuts.
to Hawaii 3 times.
It's bogus.
3 times.
You must have been
don't-
on points, like,
I might have
because there's no way.
and to be clear, like, I tell Kate, like, book me on
Right.
points, book me on amenity dollars or whatever. But yeah, I'm a nobody.
Man.
And so the freedom that gives me is I'm switching to Delta.
And the freedom that gives all of us is we're switching to Delta.
It's weird. I mean, it's a funny game that the airlines play of making it, seem attainable, but then like not. I mean, I traveled around the country, like maybe about the U.S., like maybe only about 10 times, but I went to France and New Zealand and Hawaii, and I think I barely got silver.
Man, and here
I've regressed back to gold.
they should like have, and I think they probably do, but we're probably in the wrong program.
Mm.
But I could switch us to Delta as a company.
Yeah.
Well, they should protect that, but they don't. Like, I'm
Yeah.
going to be flying in the cheap seats, but I can hack it.
Yeah.
You know how?
You have a Premier subscription.
No, set expectations.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah. You know what?
Wi-Fi.
That's true.
Yeah, at the end of the
Yeah.
day, like, maybe 7 like back cheap seats a year is arguably better than like 50 economy plus a year.
Arguably better? I think empirically that is better.
I will still have a club membership.
Yeah.
Well, you gotta have a club membership.
I just think what's frustrating is I think I'd have to go. I don't have my phone with me. I think it was close to 60 segments of flights last year, and I am halfway through gold to platinum.
Mm,
And last year I had platinum.
yeah.
And I flew more this year than I did last year. And
Yeah.
you're just like, what are we
I
doing?
have silver. But I didn't travel near as much as you guys.
Yeah.
It's funny
all
that
weird.
it's funny that Dylan and Dave are like, "Oh, I barely made silver this year," and I was like, "I was comfortably in silver, and I didn't go out of the U.S."
I didn't make silver.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry, you didn't
Yeah.
even make it. You went to Hawaii 3 times. Did you go to France this year?
I went to Texas. I didn't go to France, but I traveled a fair amount.
You
I
traveled
had
enough.
16 flights,
Okay.
and I didn't make silver.
Yeah, I made
crazy.
silver comfortably.
I want to go look what I had because I know it was a lot. And gold is what I get. It's fine. Everything's fine.
I was gold last year.
Gold's fine. That's all you
Gold's
need.
the right
You-
one.
You
Yeah.
get 2 free check bags, and the only thing cool that came with the platinum last year was the 40 plus points,
Oh,
which I
yeah.
tried to
Did
use
you-
and they never worked. So,
I
Yeah,
never was
that's what
able
I've
to
always
use
heard.
mine either.
like I submit them, but then there's not enough open seats in first class for me to get the upgrade,
Yeah.
and I wasn't able to use them in New Zealand, and it was just whatever, that's a waste. Oh,
Well, if the CEO of United's listening to our podcast, help us out.
Yeah, just hook a brother up with like
Yeah, come on, Jeremy. I don't know what his name is.
Yeah. I'll buy stock if you give me.
All right. Well, that cuts it. That does it for today. We're going to wrap it up with, of course, a weekly AI song called Riding in the Cheap Seats.
Yeah.
Boarding up that airplane, row 34, near the back where the engines roar. Packing all our dreams in them overhead bins. We're in the cheap seats, let the journey begin. Lie in the sky, low on the class. Trucking a long time, sure gonna pass. Dreaming of the days when we'll sit up front. For now, these cheap seats are what we want.